The e-bike industry is hiding massive expensive problems in the fine print. We are talking about fake range numbers, batteries that cost as much as the bike, and local shops that flat out refuse to fix them. Here are 12 costly secrets they don't want you to know, starting right now. Number 12. The range number on the box is a laboratory number. Walk into any showroom and the range figure is the first thing printed on the sign. The Lectric XP4 750, one of the best-selling folding electric bikes in North America, carries an 840 watt-hour battery and advertises up to 85 miles on a single charge. That figure is real, in the sense that somebody achieved it. What the sign leaves out is the conditions. Flat pavement, the lowest assist setting, a light rider, warm air, no headwind, almost no stopping. Here is the arithmetic that actually predicts your Tuesday morning commute. In ordinary riding, an electric bike consumes somewhere between 15 and 25 watt-hours for every mile. Throttle riding sits at the top of that range. Gentle pedal assist sits near the bottom. So take the watt-hours, divide by 20, and you have a number you can plan a route around. 840 watt-hours becomes roughly 42 miles. That is still an excellent bike. It simply isn't 85. Then there is the season nobody advertises for. Lithium cells become sluggish in the cold, and once the air drops below freezing, available range can fall by 20 to 40% on the same battery you rode all summer. Bosch has acknowledged losses of around 30% in sub-zero conditions. The capacity returns when the pack warms up, so the battery is not damaged. Your winter commute is simply shorter than your July one, and a bike chosen with no margin becomes a bike you push home in February. Testing across the industry lands in the same neighborhood. Real-world range typically arrives 20 to 50% below the advertised figure. So before you compare two bikes by their headline mileage, hunt down the watt-hour rating instead. Multiply the voltage by the amp hours if the spec sheet buries it. That one number tells you more than the entire marketing page. Number 11. Two motors can wear the same wattage badge and behave nothing alike. Stay on that same folding bike for a moment. The base Lectric XP4 sells for $999 and lists a 500-watt motor. Scroll further down the specification page and a second figure appears. 1092 watts peak. Step up to the 750 watt version and that peak climbs to 1310. Nominal wattage is what a motor can sustain indefinitely without overheating. Peak wattage is a burst, measured in seconds, useful for pulling away from a red light or cresting a short ramp. Both numbers are honest. The difficulty is that brands are free to advertise whichever one flatters them, and the United States has no mandatory testing standard forcing consistency between them. So a bike sold as a 1,000-watt machine might be a 600-watt motor paired with a generous controller. A different brand quoting 750 might pull harder under sustained load on a long climb. Federal law defines a low-speed electric bicycle by continuous output below 750 watts, which means the nominal figure also decides where you are legally permitted to ride. Ask for nominal. If a seller will only quote peak, that reluctance is information. Number 10. The battery warranty expires long before the battery does. This is where the fine print stops being boring. Bosch, which powers a large share of premium European and American e-bikes, guarantees its batteries will hold at least 60% of original capacity for 2 years or 500 full charge cycles, whichever arrives first. Specialized covers its batteries for 2 years or 300 charge cycles. Ride that again with a commuter's calendar in mind. 300 full cycles is a rider covering 20 miles a day for roughly a year. After that, capacity loss is no longer a defect. It is documented, expected behavior, and every manufacturer says so in writing. The battery management system inside the pack is quietly counting those cycles, and a dealer can read the number on a diagnostic screen. Partial charges count fractionally, so 4-quarter charges register as 1 full cycle. None of this is deceptive. It is simply invisible to anyone who never opens the warranty document. Lithium cells lose roughly 3 to 5% of capacity each year in normal use, and storing a pack at 100% charge in a hot garage accelerates that loss measurably. Which means the healthiest thing you can do for the most expensive component on your bike is stop topping it up to full every single night. Number 9. The replacement battery is the second purchase nobody budgets for. Eventually, the pack drops below useful capacity, and you meet the real cost of ownership. A genuine replacement battery for a specialized turbo levo runs somewhere between $900 and $1,300. Rad Power sold replacement packs for its older lineup at around $550. Bosch power tube packs sit comfortably in 4 figures once a dealer fits and pairs them. Third-party packs exist at half the price, and this is where the decision gets uncomfortable. Many manufacturers treat a non-original battery as grounds to void remaining coverage, and an uncertified pack introduces exactly the fire risk we'll get to later in this countdown. Meanwhile, shipping a large lithium battery is genuinely difficult. Packs above certain thresholds require hazardous materials handling, ground transport only, and specific labeling, which is why so many owners discover their local shipping counter simply refuses the box. There is a simple test worth running before you hand over any money. Search for a replacement battery for the exact model you are considering and see whether one is actually listed, in stock, and priced publicly. If the only route is an email inquiry to the manufacturer, you have learned something important about year 5. So the honest way to price an electric bike is not the sticker. It is the sticker plus one battery. Somewhere around year 4 or 5. On a $2,000 bike, that is a meaningful percentage of what you originally paid. Number 8. The motor bill arrives without warning. Mid-drive motors are the reason premium e-bikes ride so beautifully. They are also sealed units that manufacturers do not open for the public. One owner documented replacing a Bosch Performance Line CX after roughly 1,400 miles following water intrusion. $881 for the motor, $282 for labor, $1,244 with tax, on a bike that had barely broken in. Bosch does not sell internal motor components or publish service manuals for independent workshops, which is why a small number of specialist shops in Europe have reverse-engineered their own repair procedures. Those independents can often rebuild bearings and seals for 200 to 300 euros instead of replacing the entire unit. The catch is that most riders have never heard of them, and their authorized dealer has no commercial reason to mention that option. Water ingress at the axle joint is a known weak point across several motor generations. It rarely announces itself. The sound changes slightly, or a little play appears in the bottom bracket. And the sensible move is to have it inspected before the bearings destroy anything expensive. Ignore it, and a 300 euro service becomes a $1,200 replacement. Number 7. Some of these bikes can be switched off remotely. This is the part of the industry that genuinely surprises people. Modern e-bikes are computers with wheels, and that architecture cuts in 2 directions. VanMoof built its reputation on integration. The S3 and S5 unlocked through a digital key held on the company's servers, tracked through the company's app, and repaired using the company's proprietary parts. When the Dutch entities entered bankruptcy in July of 2023, owners faced the possibility that those servers would simply go dark. A rival brand, Cowboy, released a tool that let VanMoof riders extract and store their own digital keys locally. Competitors rescuing your bike from your manufacturer is not a normal state of affairs in the bicycle business. The pattern extends well beyond one company. Diagnostic software and firmware updates are frequently restricted to authorized dealers. Replacement displays, controllers, and batteries may require software pairing before they function, even when they physically fit. Certain error codes can only be cleared with dealer tools. Some features lie behind subscriptions on hardware you already own outright. European battery regulation is pushing toward easier replaceability by 2027, and VanMoof's new owners have opened up repair documentation for legacy models. But right now, in most of the market, the question is worth asking out loud before you buy. If this brand vanished tomorrow, would this bicycle still work? Now, the 6 that cost owners the most money. Number 6. Your local bike shop may decline to touch it. Direct-to-consumer brands changed the industry by cutting out the showroom. What arrives in the box is a bicycle you assemble yourself, supported by a phone number and an email address, rather than a workshop down the road. That works beautifully until something breaks. Ask any Radrunner 2 owner in Seattle, the city where Rad Power Bikes was founded, how many workshops will look at their motor. When trade publications surveyed independent retailers, a striking number said flatly that they will not service internet or direct-to-consumer electric bikes at all. Their reasoning is consistent. Their liability insurance covers the brands they are authorized to sell. They cannot source parts they have no dealer relationship for. And after high-profile battery safety warnings, several shops simply do not want unfamiliar lithium packs stored inside their building overnight, partly because their own insurers and local fire departments set rules about it. Many shops will happily true a wheel, adjust a derailleur, or replace brake pads on any bike that rolls through the door. The electrical system is where the line gets drawn. Specialist e-bike repair shops do exist, and they bill electrical diagnosis at rates that can reach $150 an hour. So before you order, find out who within a reasonable drive is willing and equipped to work on that specific system. Ring 3 shops and ask one direct question: do you service this brand's electrical system? The answers take about 10 minutes to collect, and they will tell you more about your next 5 years of ownership than any review. Do it before the purchase, not after the fault. Number 5. Everything that isn't electric wears out 2 to 3 times faster. A Trek Elant Plus 7S, a Bosch-powered commuter selling around $3,800, weighs roughly 3 times what a road bike does, travels at higher average speeds, and pushes motor torque through an ordinary bicycle drivetrain designed for human legs. Physics collects the difference. Brake pads on a heavily used Class 3 machine can need replacing somewhere between 500 and 1,800 miles. Tires often go between 1,000 and 2,000. Chains commonly stretch beyond service limits between 1 and 3,000 miles, where a lightly ridden analog bike might see several times that. Riders on high-torque commuters frequently report chains lasting a fraction of what they expected. None of these parts are expensive on their own. The trap is the cascade. A worn chain quietly grinds away at the cassette and chainring, and replacing a $30 chain on schedule is what prevents a $300 drivetrain replacement later. On a mid-drive system like the Elance, that chainring sits on the motor itself, which raises the stakes further. Learn to measure chain stretch with a $5 tool or budget for a proper service twice a year. Either approach works. Doing neither is the expensive option. Number 4. The warranty excludes more than it covers. Warranty documents across the industry share a family resemblance, and it rewards 10 minutes of reading. Aventon's limited warranty, as one published example, caps the company's liability at the original purchase price of the product and disclaims responsibility for consequential or incidental damages. Then come the exclusions, which appear in some form nearly everywhere. Water damage, charging with a non-original charger, opening the battery casing, modifying the electronics, removing the speed limiter, which in many regions also strips the bike of its legal classification. Commercial use, meaning delivery work, is frequently excluded outright, even though delivery riders are among the heaviest users in the world. 2 more details worth knowing. Some battery coverage is prorated, so a failure at month 18 of a 24-month term may return a fraction of replacement value rather than a new pack. And Bosch's warranty states plainly that transporting the bike to the dealer for warranty work is the customer's responsibility. On a 70-pound bicycle with a hazardous materials battery, that sentence has weight. Number 3. Your home insurance policy probably doesn't cover it. Standard homeowners and renters policies in the United States define motor vehicles broadly, and an electric bicycle is self-propelled by an electric motor. Under common policy forms, that language can exclude e-bikes from both property and liability coverage. Class 1 pedal assist bikes sometimes squeeze through. Class 2 and Class 3 machines are excluded far more often, and umbrella policies usually inherit the same exclusions. Read that in terms of consequences. If a specialized Turbo Vado, a bike that starts around $4,000, is stolen from outside a cafe, you may have no claim at all. If you injure a pedestrian, you may have no liability defense. Even where coverage does apply, personal property away from the home is often capped at a low sub-limit and paid at depreciated value rather than replacement cost. Theft makes this concrete. E-bike theft reports in major American cities have climbed sharply year over year, with Portland, Seattle, Los Angeles, and Denver among the hardest hit. Recovery rates without a tracker or registered serial number sit in the low single digits. Batteries alone resell for hundreds of dollars, so thieves increasingly take components rather than whole bikes. A standalone e-bike policy costs a small fraction of the machine's value. Call your insurer, read the motor vehicle clause, and find out where you actually stand. Number 2. The safety certification you must verify, and the one that isn't enough. This is the segment that matters most, and the data behind it is unusually clear. The Fire Department of New York recorded 268 lithium-ion battery fires in 2023, and those fires killed 18 people. In September of that year, New York City required every e-mobility device sold or leased in the city to be certified to recognize safety standards. Deaths fell to 6 in 2024. In 2025, across the entire city, the figure was 1. Enforcement and public education did that. The certification detail is the part buyers get wrong. UL 2271 certifies the battery pack. UL 2849 certifies the entire electrical system, the battery, the charger, and the controller working together as one. Fires frequently begin at the mismatch between components, which is why system-level certification is the meaningful one. A brand advertising that its battery is certified has not told you the whole story. The stakes became public in November of 2025 when the Consumer Product Safety Commission urged owners of several older RAD power models to stop using their batteries immediately, citing 31 fires and roughly $734,000 in property damage. RAD Power disputed the characterization and stated it could not fund replacements or refunds. The company filed for bankruptcy protection the following month. Owners were left holding batteries they were told to dispose of at a hazardous waste facility, with no remedy attached. Number 1. The The company may not outlive the bicycle, which brings us back to where we started, and to the single question that sits underneath all 11 points before it. VanMoof went bankrupt in July of 2023. Juiced Bikes, founded in 2009 and a genuine pioneer of American electric cargo bikes, collapsed in October of 2024 and sold its brand and intellectual property at auction for around $1.2 million. That sale explicitly excluded warranty parts and unsold inventory, leaving existing owners without support and some customers still waiting on bikes they had already paid for. Rad Power Bikes, whose revenue ran near $318 million in 2021, filed for Chapter 11 in December of 2025 and was sold for $13.2 million. Some of these stories have second chapters. McLaren Applied's mobility arm bought VanMoof, opened up repair documentation, and launched new models. The founders of Lectric bought Juiced, but pre-bankruptcy warranties generally do not survive, and neither do undelivered orders. There is a resale consequence too. Electric bikes typically lose 30 to 50% of their value in the first year and 10 to 20% annually after that, and battery health drives a large share of what remains. A bike from a brand that no longer exists, with a battery nobody can replace, is worth a great deal less than the same machine from a company still answering the phone. So here is the entire video compressed into a single sentence. Before you buy, ask whether this bicycle would still be repairable if the company behind it disappeared tomorrow. Ask about nominal watts, watt hours, cycle counts, system-level certification, and who locally will service it. Ask whether standard components appear anywhere in the design. The right e-bike is genuinely one of the best things you can own. It replaces car trips, flattens hills, widens the map, and quietly makes a city feel smaller and more generous. None of that is marketing, but the bikes that keep delivering that feeling 5 years in tend to be the ones bought by people who ask these questions first.